Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 5 of What If Naruto Had a New Dream that will change everything. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all your friends in social media platform, and also remember if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be planning talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off. Naruto went to find Kurenai as he asked her about the theories that he came up with, saying that he was interested in genjutsu and not that he wanted to get in her pants because she heard the rumors around the village. She decided to help him. As the time went by, 2 months passed. As Naruto has gained a lot, he even convinced Kurenai to get some of the books from the Jonin part of the library for him, which she did. But she told him he couldn't stay with him, just look them over for the subject. But Naruto had his clones copy every single thing out of him, so he had all sorts of Fuin Jutsu to work with right now. And Naruto also condensed his chakra to the point where Genjutsu could not work on him, to the point where your Genjutsu chakra could not seep into his system, so he couldn't be fall under the illusion. Over that time period, Kurenai saw something in him, something about him that was just so special, as she didn't want to believe the rumors. But when she confessed her feelings to him, as she actually liked him, but he didn't want to be in a long-term relationship right now, as she could understand that, someone of his age, but the attraction didn't go away. As they end up sparring, as Kurenai couldn't believe it, without her art, she was not able to defeat Naruto, as she was quite surprised. After all, she was still a Jonin and he was a Genin, and he was able to defeat her. The teams had been signed up for the Chunin exams for them to participate in them. As they made their way towards the academy, as Naruto didn't even see the genjutsu because his chakra coils, his chakra was so dense in them, as it became subconscious for his body to just react and turn it on. So that is why he was confused. As Sasuke ended up facing off against Lee, and Sasuke stood no chance as Lee knocked him down. As Naruto and the others made their way in there, as Sasuke asked questions about Gaara, as Zana had came to him and told him that there's a one-tailed Jinchuriki there, as she also told him some of their history, as she told him just to look out for a stand, because that is the Shikaku main element. As they took part in the first part of the exam, Ibiki saw Naruto did something that no one else ever did. Naruto simply walked over and knocked out the guy that had the answers and took his paper. As Naruto was the first to do something like that, and his confidence made everyone else went quiet, as they didn't bother to leave. As Uncle came in, as Naruto started to flirt with her, she was surprised, as she heard about him from Naichan, that was Kurenai. As they made their way towards the forest of death, and the flirting went on once again, as Uncle saw that he was really serious. As they made their way inside, as they came upon some Rain Genins, who tried to fake as Naruto, while Naruto knocked out the other ones as they managed to get their scrolls. So yeah guys, that was basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across the place and check it out for yourself. So, what do you say we begin this new episode? After knocking out the Rain Genins, Team 7 made their way deeper into the forest as they tried to get the Earth Scroll that they needed when they were yet again interrupted. But this time it was much more severe as a massive gust of wind struck their position. Naruto got the worst of it, seeing that he was exactly in the middle. Fortunately, he was the most sturdy of the three of them as he managed to root himself to the ground, pulling himself down with chakra so he wasn't blown away very far. What was that? Said Sakura. A powerful wind ninjutsu, Naruto said as he looked around for the attacker. He was deeply unnerved that he couldn't detect the slightest hint of a threat nearby, even though he knew it was there. My fire would be able to overpower him in that case, said Sasuke, as he had read upon elemental strengths and weaknesses, and he knew that fire was strong against wind. He was irritated to find out that Naruto wind was stronger than lightning, and its water was stronger than fire, but at least Naruto could not use any ninjutsu. Don't be too sure of yourself, princess. That wind technique just now is a lot more powerful than anything I've ever seen you use. It is probably strong enough to turn your fire back against you, elemental weakness or not, Naruto said as he was not liking the situation in the slightest. You should listen to your teammates, Sasuke-kun, a darkly voice said from above as they all looked up. It was a Kunoichi from the hidden grass with a purple rope wrapped around her stomach and a normal brown beige outfit. She had a rather creepy look on her face, however, and all three of them were getting bad vibes. Sasuke and Naruto nodded to each other, and without wasting time they attacked at the same time. They didn't like working together despite being on the same team for several months already, but they could see that this enemy needed to be taken seriously. They didn't involve Sakura because she was not ready to take on someone of this level, but the enemy seemed rather amused, despite Sasuke using his Totomo Sharingan and Naruto using his speed and strength. She was keeping up with them. Sasuke was knocked away violently as Naruto found himself facing off against her alone. The disguised Orochimaru was somewhat intrigued by the Kyuubi Jinchuriki fighting him. All the reports told him that the boy was an utter failure, but yet he seemed to be quite strong and fast, even if it wasn't even nearly enough to keep up with him. Though if speed and strength was all that he had, Orochimaru was going to be too disappointed, as he wondered if the blonde was going to start using any of the Kyuubi's power anytime soon. But Naruto's thoughts were going in a different direction. By now he realized this person is a lot stronger than Kakashi. Every attack was dodged, with a way that cannot be fully human, as their body twists and bend in certain ways, and he was waiting for the counter attack, as Naruto knew that he had to do something to surprise the Kunoichi, or he would never come close to hitting her. Well, he was glad that he kept all of his techniques a secret, because that might be their saving grace right now. Orochimaru got really bored of dodging the blonde, as he was about to attack him so he can focus on Sasuke. He wasn't going to kill the blonde because he feared inciting the wrath of the Akatsuki, and also he wants Sasuke to progress to the finals. He might be strong, but against a group of S-rank criminals, he didn't stand a chance, especially when some of them could take him on and defeat him on their own, especially that man. As Naruto decided to go in for the shock, as he punched after Orochimaru dodged, but a chain then shot from his palm. Orochimaru was too close to dodge and never expected this, as the chain burst through the upper abdomen and pinned him to a tree. As Sakura and Sasuke were relieved that it was over. Sasuke didn't want to admit it, but that grass Kunoichi had really scared him. But to their utter shock, she crawled out of... What the hell? She was crawling out of her mouth. But this person was not the same, as the man had slitted eyes, and he looked rather pale with black hair. And he was furious, yes. Orochimaru was indeed furious. He had dismissed the Kyuubi Jinchuriki and he paid the price for it, using his skin shedding technique. He would love to mark the blonde with a seal and take the chakra chain of his own, but it couldn't be placed on a Jinchuriki, which meant he would just have to leave it be. But he would have to take him out of the equation. Orochimaru slickered forward his legs, turned to the bottom half of a snake, as he struck Naruto with deadly blows. As Orochimaru drove a heel into his stomach, Naruto was still sailing. A tree then burst apart as a snake root out of the ground, blowing them away as he jumped and swallowed Naruto. The snake then rushed off with him inside of him. Orochimaru turned to the shock-looking Sasuke and Sakura. Well, Sasuke-kun, let's see if you can do as good as your teammate. Meanwhile, Naruto was stuck, as he could tell that the thing was moving fast, as he could barely move his hands, as his chains kept on slipping off in this disgusting thing. As he placed his hands together, as he started to spam shadow clones, as the snake stopped, as he ran out of room and burst. As Naruto quickly pulled out a storage scroll, as water rushed down on him from it. As he washed off the gunk, his clothing had seals on it so they couldn't stay wet, as he flashed his hair, but he still smelled like snake guts. He looked around as he wondered, where the hell am I? As he quickly needed to find his teammates after all that man back there. It was Orochimaru, as he knew the infamous Snake Ninja. The next morning, Naruto was furious. Beyond furious, as he was pissed. He still couldn't find his teammates. He didn't know where the hell he is. He just wanted to get to the tower. He had encountered a team of older Konoha Genins, where he got his scroll, as they thought this was a good idea to take care of the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. How wrong they were, as they came up on an agitated, pissed off Naruto. They tried to kill him, and Naruto did not give mercy for people who treat him any sort of way. After all, if they treat him that way, they should receive the same punishment. So Konoha was down 3 less Genins, and he didn't really care one bit. His luck finally increased as he caught Sakura, Sasuke, and a whole other team of Genins in some scuffle. But at the moment, Sasuke was the only one fighting as he had black markings over his skin as he was dislocating the arms of a boy with a musical headband. Sakura was looking less than healthy, and it seems that she gotten a haircut. Lee was down as well. Team 10 was lurking in the bushes, looking rather scared, and Lee's teammate was just watching the thing from the branch. What the hell have you two been up to, Naruto questioned, pulling attention to himself. Naruto, you're alive, Sakura said with relief. She had honestly thought that he was a goner after being eaten by the snake. Any further conversation was cut off, as Sasuke got sight of the blonde as well. Sasuke was drunk on the power that Curse Mark gave him, as he felt like he could take on the world. Catching sight of the blonde that had shown him up every single turn, he wanted nothing more than to beat him. To prove to himself once and for all that he was the strongest, he was the greatest. It didn't matter to him that he was teammates right there, and that there were enemies around. Dropping the enraged Zaku, he charged towards Naruto, as Sakura yelled out for him to stop, begging and pleading with him, but he did not care. He did not hear, he just shot forward. Sasuke was making a straight line towards Naruto. The pissed off Naruto just went through a lot to find him, and now he was trying to attack him. As Naruto rushed towards Sasuke, and Sasuke lashed out a fist, but Naruto dodged right around and grabbed back his shirt. Naruto lifts Sasuke over his shoulder and drive him straight into the earth. And he fell unconscious. As Sasuke was able to see the move with the Sharingan, but his body was just not fast enough. Now, say Naruto, what did you little bitches do to my underlings? As he looked towards his own team, that were terrified, as they saw he just take down the cursed ninja with a single hit like he was an academy child. They already knew that they were no match for Sasuke with their master, Curse Seal on him, so they could not face off against this new threat, especially with Zaku dislocated arms. We're sorry, said Dosu. That was the only thing he could say at the moment. To try and escape out of here alive. Take your scroll and spare us, as he set his heaven scroll in the earth, and then rush out of there. His teammates right behind him. Sakura released a sigh of relief that it was all over. She couldn't even curse about being called an underling. Team 10 watched the entire thing with shock, as Shikamaru knew that Naruto was stronger than what everyone else thought, because the blonde was a bit shady, but he never thought that he would be able to take down Sasuke that easily. As Naruto pulled back Sasuke's shirt as he looked at the mark, he then turned forward. Sakura, how did he get this mark placed on him? Oh, that creepy ninja beat him and appeared. He introduced himself as Orochimaru. Do you know what it is, she asked. It's a seal of some sort, but it's pretty sloppy Fuinjutsu work from what I can see. If he really applied to the bite, then there's probably more than just Fuinjutsu. Judging what I saw earlier, I see that it's some type of seal. As Neji was watching the entire thing as well, but he didn't say anything. Well, no use getting worked up over it right now. I'll take a better look at it when I get to the tower. I'm sick of this damn forest already. But we still need our scroll, these guys at the heaven scroll. As she was still sitting on the ground, as the kunai that Zaku hit her with had hit her in the leg, she wasn't even sure she could walk at the moment. It's a good thing I ran into a couple of idiots who had the earth scroll while I was looking for you guys then. Sakura sighed in relief after hearing this, never more glad to have Naruto on her team, because there was no denying that he got things done, despite the way he acts. Looks like you finally grew some backbone, Sakura. Good for you, he said. As she smiled, that he was even calling her by name and not calling her one of those names that he made up. It showed that he saw effort in her. She knew his way by thinking now to understand he respected courage, even if there wasn't any way of backing it up with power. As Naruto heard the clones, hey, what are you doing, said Sakura. You're injured, and I'm not in the mood to waste time anymore. So you just have to pretend to be a sack of potatoes until we get to the tower. Team 10 saw the heaven scroll that they needed, as they snatched it, as they decided to go after Team 7. After all, sticking near the strongest one, well, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Hey, Naruto, wait up. Let us go with you, Ino called out, as he ran after him. Neji and Tenten recovered the unconscious lead, and took him away. As Neji had watched him go, he was thinking of taking on Naruto to take that earth scroll away from him, but he was sure that the blonde would get help from Team 10 as well, and Tenten would frown upon such actions. Several minutes later, Sakura decided to comment it, as she was on Naruto's back. As she sniffed his hair, Naruto, why does your hair smell so gross, she asked. I was eaten by a giant snake. Did you expect it to smell like sunshine daisies, he asked, in a sarcastic tone. As Team 10 wondered what the hell Team 7 got themselves into in the short time they've been in the forest. Time skip. As Team 7 arrived, they had to wait until a full 5 days were up though, so they were bored, especially Naruto. As he was leaning against the wall, on top of the tower, Uncle was there for him to play with, so he was quite bored. Kakashi had showed up and sealed Sasuke Little Hike with the Eva sealing method, and it was interesting to see, as Naruto knew how to do that, and currently that was the best he could do against Orochimaru Little Hike. As Naruto was considering a better way, even to remove it. Curse seals were tricky to remove though. As he then heard another person coming up. As he looked to see that it was Hinata. Oh, I didn't know anyone else was here. I'll leave, she said. None of that now, said Naruto. Get over here and sit next to your big brother. Hinata developed a blush, but she went down to sit down next to him, maintaining a distance. Naruto wasn't a big fan of any type of politeness, as he put an arm around her and pulled her closer. So he said, what bring my cute little sister all the way up here? As Naruto figured if he told her to call him big brother on an impulse, then he should act like one. Hinata felt embarrassed by the close and physical contact, but it also felt wonderful. Except for Kurenai Sensei, no one had hugged her in a very long time. She didn't even remember getting any kind of comfortable contact from her father, which why, being held like this, she felt like she could just hide in her cloak and he would protect her from the world. She didn't know him too well, but he was always nice, well, if not all that polite. He had saw her train and improve, and instead of frowning down at her and saying that she was weak, he congratulated her, and he didn't care if she wasn't a project. As long as she worked hard, he was proud of her. She was rather surprised when he told her to call him big brother. But if he was willing to treat her like a little sister, that was alright with her. I'm worried, brother, she said. Huh? What about, he asked. I'm worried that we'll have to fight each other, she said. She mentally congratulated herself for getting that out without a stutter. We'll definitely have to fight, said Naruto, since the third phase is always a tournament. But you're worried about fighting someone, aren't you? Yes, my cousin Neji. Oh, that asshole. Why are you afraid of him? He knew that Neji was an ass, but he didn't know why his own cousin would be afraid of him. Neji hated me. He blamed me for his father's death. Naruto frowned in confusion, unable to come up with any reason why Hinata would be blamed for that. Why? She then explained to him the kidnapping attempt by Kumo and the political fallout that ended up in the death of Neji's father. No, that's just stupid, said Naruto. You were 3 years old. Did he expect you to fight off a Jonin or something? It's not that, he hates all the members of the main house, she said. Her stuttering had slowly died down, seeing that she was more comfortable with the situation. But he take it out on you because he know that you won't retaliate. She lowered her head sadly, as that was right. As Neji knew that she would never use the bird seal on him, so he could lash out at her. Her father allowed it to happen because he wanted her to stand up to Neji, but she never did. So it just continued. She knew her father was waiting for her to use a cage bird seal to remind Neji of his place, but she never did it, and it made him more disappointed. But that cage bird seal represented everything that she hated about the Hyugas, and she would die before using that. Naruto's arm lifted away from her for a moment. She started to get scared that he would disappoint as well, but he simply started to play with her hair. So why won't you retaliate, he asked. The only way I can do that is by using the cage bird seal, and I would never do that. As Naruto was quiet for a few minutes after that, just playing with her hair, as she had to struggle not to fall asleep while he was playing with her hair. You're actually pretty ashamed of your clan, aren't you, he asked. As he saw everything, yes, she walked around without any confidence or pride from the Hyuga clan. She was always in the background to stay out of sight. No, She stopped herself as she realized he wasn't her father or the clan elders. Yes, she said. She was ashamed of it. The main house felt so proud of being the main house while the branch family had to suffer slavery, and especially those marks. Where they can do anything they please to the branch house, they can cause them unbearable pain or even death. The only reason why the branch member never retaliate is because they knew about the mark. That is the only reason. After all, she could see the animosity between them. Hinata feared if the cage bird seal was removed by this point, the main house would get slaughtered by the branch members, who were far more than them. Despite her fear, she knew that the main house deserved it, but she just didn't want Hanabi to get hurt. As she confessed all of this to Naruto. You're probably right, said Naruto. If the seal was removed right now, it would end up in a massacre. Do you think there's any way to stop it? She asked hopefully. Only if something can be done to calm the branch house down before the seal is removed. Even if the seal stay on, there's possible a revolt can still happen. You can only step on someone for so long until they lash out. But how can we do that, she said. Naruto didn't comment on the we, as he was just here for Hinata. No idea, he said. But the Hyugas have to get over themselves before anything can change. What do you mean, she asked. The whole clan has a problem with their pride. They walk around with such pride that the pride can keep them invincible. They need to understand that pride is not a protective armor, and it's not even a strength. They are so proud they refuse to learn anything else but the gentle fist. trying to prove that your own fighting style is superior to everything else. As Hinata listens to everything that he said, as she understands it as well, because they were all supposed to learn Gentle Fist, and it was frowned upon no anything else. They were trying to show that the Gentle Fist was superior to all. Anyway, said Naruto, we gotten serious off topic. You said you were afraid of your cousin. Yes, if I have to fight him, I know he will do his best to humiliate me. Maybe even kill me. Despite everything, she still loved her cousin, and it hurt that he had become so hateful towards her. If you end up fighting him, just do your best. And be proud, he said. Your best is all that you can give. And no one else have any more right to ask for any more from you. Especially people who have not supported you. I know that Neji has more training and raw talent with Gentle Fist than you do. But you have nothing to be ashamed of. You lose. Don't let anyone tell you anything different. Who knows? Things in your family might even improve. If you don't let it bring you down so much and focus on improving yourself instead. Remember that Kurenai Saints and your teammates are there for you. Hinata was silent for a moment as her blush returned back with full force. What about you, brother? She asked. As Naruto smiled, of course. I'm there for my cute little sister. Tell you what, if you do your best in the exams, I'll even help you out with your training. She gave a blushing smile and promised to do the best that she could, even if she faced off against Neji. She wanted to do her team and her newly acquired big brother proud. As she was glad that she approached him before the start of the second phase. His words did a lot to calm her fears. The next event, as Naruto was once again on the balcony, as Hinata had come and spent time with him before going off, as she wanted to be well rested for the next phase. Uncle hadn't come around, making him conclude that she was only going to arrive once the second phase is finally over. As he was a bit disappointed about that, Uncle was quite the character, and he was sure that they would get along. He had plans of seeking her out anyway, one way or another, just to mess with her if nothing else. As Naruto felt something beside him, it wasn't exactly beside him but the pressure was around. He didn't turn his eyes immediately, but he could tell that someone was there. As he just leaned back, as he narrowed his eyes over to the side as he saw a red-haired boy, a Sandaime with a gourd in his back. As the boy turned towards him and Naruto saw markings under his eyes, and the conjure for love on his forehead, as Naruto could already tell, judging by the gourd and also the sleepiness. From the bags under his eyes, Naruto could tell that this boy was also the Ichibai Jinjuki that Zana had warned him about. Since he wasn't being attacked or anything, Naruto started a conversation. Nice night, isn't it? The redhead just looked at him without answering. But Naruto still spoke again. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, who might you be? As the boy continued to stare, but Naruto did not look away. So he finally answered. Sabaku no Gara, he said. Nice meeting you, Gara, Naruto said with a smile. Despite Zana's warnings, Ichibai Jinjuki didn't seem that bad. I look forward to killing you and proving my existence. I was wrong, said Naruto to himself. How would killing me prove your existence? Naruto asked as he was genuinely curious. My village put a monster in me, trying to turn me into a weapon, and now I can't even sleep. I was deemed a failed experiment and assassins were sent after me, but I killed them first. Killing them proved that I exist, that I won't be erased. As long as I keep killing, I'll exist and mother will be happy. It seems like he didn't have a good time in the hidden sand. And he was calling Shikaku his mother. That didn't make any sense at all. But being able to not sleep, that would explain why the boy looked so unstable. As Naruto also got a chilling view of what he might become if Zana had decided to do something different. As a child, he was dependent on her for his stability. So if she wanted to become crazy, he would have been crazy. Did Shikaku tell you that, Naruto asked? Gaara's eyes snapped towards him. How do you know about Shikaku? He growled a bit. Well, you could say that we're brothers of a sort. You had the Ichibai seal in you, and I had the Kyuubi. As Naruto wasn't exactly lying, he did have Zana's seal in him, even if she wasn't there anymore. A strange smile came on Gaara's face. Then you know what it's like, to only live for yourself, to only fight for yourself. I know what it's like, for people not wanting anything to do with you, because of what you are. But I don't live for myself, and I don't only love myself. I found people who accept and love me, and I will keep them safe. Kyuubi is also a lot more reasonable than Shikaku is, and has done a lot to help me. A lot of what I do is because of my love for her. Gaara clutched at his head and started to mumble some words, and saying mother as well. As Naruto realized the seal that holding Shikaku was weak. If Shikaku could mess with his consciousness, then you are weak. Loving others is a weakness, and I will prove it to you by feeding your blood to mother. Gaara knew that he couldn't do it right now, but when the invasion started, he would have plenty of chance to crush the blonde Uchiha. You know, Gaara, said Naruto, I'm pretty good at Fuin Jutsu. If you want, I can take a look at that seal. Even allow you to sleep, said Naruto, as he wanted to see how the seal affected Shikaku in some way as well. Gaara looked at Naruto with a conflicted expression. If Naruto could guess, Gaara wanted to get some sleep, but He didn't want Naruto to make out with his seal, out of fear of getting killed or something, as he wasn't one to trust that easily. As he vanished in a sand-style body flicker without giving an answer. As Naruto realized something, his seal was empty, so he can tweak his seal a bit to see how it worked. And if he could do that, he could find out about Gaara's seal as well. After all, his was the most complex of all Jinchuriki seals, with the god of death after all. Time skip, as Anko, the Hokage, Hayate, the other proctor for the preliminaries, and the Jonin senseis and the Genins, all of them were there. Kabuto had given up due to lack of chakra, as the first match that popped up on the board was Sasuke Uchiha versus Yoroi, one of Kabuto's teammates that remained behind. Seeing how old this guy was and he was still taking the Chunin exams at his age, Sasuke thought that he was worthless and he would easily defeat him. As Naruto grinned at Anko, who was standing next to Kurenai, as she grinned right back. As he realized that Anko and Kurenai must be friends, that was rather surprising given how different the both of them were. All of the Konoha rookies and Team Guy as well were standing together. Neji looked rather constipated, standing next to Hinata, as Hinata was doing her best not to let Neji anything about him affect her today. After all, she had her talk with Naruto, and she was going to do her best no matter what. As everyone left and made their way up to the top floor, as Sasuke smirked as he looked towards his opponent. The match didn't really last long, with Sasuke using the Lion Barrage combo and knocking Yuri down to the ground, as it was a mixed and copy version of the Lotus from Lee. Winner, Sasuke Uchiha Hayate announced. Sasuke made his way back to the platform, missing a slight frown on Lee and Guy's faces. They both recognized the move that he used, but they weren't really annoyed at Uchiha copying it. After all, you couldn't copy the 8 gates, but the fact that Sasuke had copied the first part, it just hurt them that he achieved it without any hard work. The next match was Shino versus Zaku, as Zaku was plain crippled, while his other arm was okay, but that didn't matter because Shino was sealed up the ear holes, as his arms implode from within, crippling him. The next match was Misumi versus Conqueror. Misumi didn't stand a chance, as Conqueror wastes half of the fight using a puppet, which Misumi brought down, which Conqueror then jumped from the puppet's back and dealt with Misumi. The next battle was Kiba versus Gaara. As Kiba gulped, Gaara used a sand sunshine to make his way down there. As Kiba was scared, he remembered seeing Gaara crush a couple of Genins with his sand. He was thinking of forfeiting right away, as Akamaru was doing his best to hide in Kiba's hood. Go on, Kiba. Just do your best, Kurenai said. As she didn't really understand why her usual brash student was hesitating. Kiba felt unnerved, but he gulped. He was going to do his best. As he was about to walk up with a hand placed on his shoulder, as the hand belonged to Naruto, as Naruto was whispering something to Kurenai. Given that the situation was serious, he didn't think that it was anything dirty. As Kiba heard what he said, Gaara is it Ichibai Jinchuriki, and he isn't stable. If Kiba fight him, he will die. Kiba had no idea what a Jinchuriki was, but the way his sensei paled, he could tell that it was something bad. No matter how it stung his pride to hear it, he wasn't liking his chance either because that sand has swallowed 3 Genins and just squashed them to death. Will Inazaka Kiba make his way to the arena, Hayate called out. Forfeit the match, Kiba, you're not ready for him, said Kurenai. Proctor, I forfeit the match, said Kiba, as he fight down feeling ashamed from just giving up. Had it been anyone else he would have fought, but Gaara scared the crap out of him, and he didn't want to die in a meaningless battle like this. Whatever Ichibai Jinchuriki was, it had to be bad for Sensei to react like that. As Gaara gave Kiba a dangerous look, showing him how much he wanted to crush him into peace, as Kiba swallowed nervously. As he gave the same look to Naruto for depriving him of killing someone. Kurenai was thankful that Naruto warned her about Gaara. If she had known who and what Gaara was, she would have rethink about ending her team in the exam. They might have improved a great deal, but they were nowhere ready to fight a Jinchuriki, especially one that had control of his power a bit. Considering their specialties, they might never be ready as well. As the name went on the board once again. Well, Rock Lee and Naruto Uzumaki, come down here please. Yush! It is my turn at last! And against such a youthful opponent, said Lee. As Naruto grinned, also excited. They had always sparred, but they always had their handicaps on, considering that it was just sparring but this was a real fight. As Naruto took his shirt off, as Uncle whistled, some of the females around even blushed. Take care of my coat, little sister, said Naruto as he put his coat around Hinata's shoulders, making her blush. Okay, big brother, she said. Everyone looked at both of them in surprise, not having the slightest clue where this came from. Kurenai was surprised as well, but also pleased about it. If there was anyone that Hinata could learn confidence from, it was Naruto. Lee, Naruto, show everyone how brightly your youths burn. Guy says he gave both of them a thumbs up. The both of them flipped and landed in the arena. If he was honest with himself, Guy would have loved to have Naruto as a student. The blonde Uzumaki was built like a steel wall, and he would have been perfect to learn the fighting style him and Lee used. Begin the proctor says he jump away. As the two of them look at each other, as Naruto spoke. Before we start, Lee, I want you to take your weights off. But Naruto, Guy Sensei told me never move them unless I'm protecting my precious person. Well, I'm not gonna fight you seriously. If you keep on disrespecting me like that, said Naruto with a scowl. But I have great respect for you, Naruto. You're most youthful. Well then, take your weights off and fight me for real, said Naruto. Lee was looking conflicted as he turned towards Sensei, but Naruto spoke. Don't look at Guy Sensei in a real battle. You won't be able to ask him for advice. Lee faced hard in determination, as he knew that this was true. In a real fight, you'd have to focus and also do what he figured was right. So he removed his weights. As he threw them into a corner, people's eyes went wide and they saw them landed cracked in the ground. As he went into his fighting style. I am afraid that you'll be unable to match my speed if I'm not wearing weights, Naruto, said Lee. You think that you're the only one who trained the handicap. Naruto says he reached to a spot above his chest. As Naruto placed his fingers that were glowing with chakras, he twisted a seal. As it cricked open like he was opening a lock. As Fuinjutsu markings spread all over his body, looking like chains winding around his arms, legs. As they then receded back. What was that? My resistance seal, said Naruto. They limit my every movement and I do everything with them on. I eat, sleep, shower, and have sex with them on, making every day a living workout. Yush, what a youthful training method. Lee all but screamed, but he had a blush on his face at hearing that Naruto had sex with them on. Up in his stance as Kurenai heard about Naruto's seals as she wondered did he have those on when they were sparring. That made her think that she really need to put some effort into physical training. Did you arrange for those seals that Naruto is using, Kakashi? Guy asked. I didn't even know that he had them on. Naruto's ability to seals have already surpassed my own, I'm afraid, said Kakashi. With neither one of them able to use ninjutsu. This is going to be mostly a taijutsu fight, said Asuma. Naruto does have some ninjutsu, but he looked more excited about taijutsu match. As the gathered Genins also was curious, as Team 7 and 10 was the most curious, as they knew that Naruto was stronger than most gave him credit for. Back in the arena, both Naruto and Lee stretched their limbs. Neither of them worried about a sneak attack, as they made a silent agreement this was going to be a martial arts battle. Let us explode in youth, Lee said. A grin split Naruto's face. Yes, Lee. Show me your determination. As the two of them flew towards each other, incredible speed. Lee tried to block a punch. As he was thrown back by the force, he was surprised. As Lee quickly realized something, Naruto was faster, stronger, had more reach, and his body was more durable. His only true advantage is that Naruto didn't really use any martial arts, but he was overpowering him with brute force and strength. And they had sparred so many times, it was like muscle memory for Naruto to react and predict his moves. Both of them speed across the arena, never staying still, throwing punches and kicks. As their battle was at a stalemate until Naruto roared and shot forward, moving even faster than before, taking Lee by surprise, as he got a serious bruise across his face. As Naruto started attacking like a man possessed, even when Lee struck him viciously, he still just moved on like it was nothing. Lee also knew that Naruto's muscles were bulging, and he could hear a growl coming from him. If Lee didn't know better, he would have said that Naruto opened the first gate, because he didn't know where this boost came from, and not to mention his taijutsu was still not sloppy. Guy Sensei told him that if you lost yourself in a fight with anger, your fighting skills would become quite sloppy, but Naruto's skills were at the same level, yet he was so angry right now and furious. Lee flipped over Naruto and kicked him back of the head as he got some distance between them. But Naruto slammed his foot into the ground and roared, tearing out a huge chunk of the earth. Before it could fall back down, Naruto kicked it towards Lee, creating a projectile that soared through the air. Having no time to dodge, Lee pumped energy into his fist and struck it, obliterating it. But then suddenly he felt something clamp onto his fist. He tried to bring his other fist around, but he was also caught in another iron grip. In that moment, Lee realized a rock projectile had been a distraction. Now, Naruto had him at close range, where he could make full advantage. As Naruto brought his leg up and started to retaliate on Lee, brutally. As Lee's legs were shorter and Naruto kept him at a distance. Lee only took a few hits, but he already felt the damage being done to his body. He knew if he didn't get out of the blonde's grip, he wasn't going to last too long. As he decided to use a desperate move. As he jumped over one of the kicks. As his shoulder bent in a strange way, but he go through the pain as he smashed his knee under Naruto's chin. As Naruto reflectively released Lee's hands, as Lee quickly jumped away, fixing back his arm. Lee then dashed forward, but Naruto swung his hair around. As his ponytail had gotten sharp, Naruto pushed Chakra into it, as Lee had to jump back as he sliced him across his chest. He was also sure that his ribs were cracked from where Naruto had kicked him. Not that Naruto wasn't damaged as well, but he didn't seem bothered by anything. Clearly, it was time to take it up to the next level, he thought to himself. Meanwhile, what the hell? Kiba said had seen the speed which the two of them move at. Weren't these two tied for dead last? Is there something about dead last that made people strong and incredibly fast? He wasn't the only one that was shocked, as all of the routines could barely believe their eyes. Naruto and Lee had been dismissed as losers, and here they were moving at speed that others could barely keep up with. This is a result of hard work and youth, said Guy. When Naruto started to get angry, they all expect him to lose, to mistake or something. But he didn't change his fighting one bit. Neji, can you take a look at Naruto's chakra, Guy asked, as he seemed serious. Neji activated his Byakugan, Hinata doing the same out of curiosity, and both of them took a look at what was happening with Blonde Chakra. His chakra is flowing through his body wildly, much faster than anything I've ever seen before, said Neji. As he was confused, he had no idea what this meant. Whenever he take a hit, his chakra surged to that point, and it healed him immediately. But he's taking up a lot of chakra though. Most Jonin would already be dead from chakra exhaustion if they use up that much. But he has so much. As Guy knew that Naruto was in control of his rage, using the chakra to stimulate his body, and he wasn't even going reckless. He had heard about this a long time ago. A state where the fighters would become enraged, but they were controlling it, and they become unstoppable. For a short while, but at the cost of leaving themselves vulnerable if they fail to defeat their enemy. But Guy supposed to Naruto's insane chakra capacity, it wouldn't be an issue. You listen to me, Guy, said Kakashi. As Guy finally turned, snapped out of his thoughts. You say something, Kakashi. Everyone who heard that felt like natural order had been violated. Blinking in shock of having his own gag used against him, Kakashi decided to just pretend that he didn't even hear it. I asked if you knew what Naruto was doing. Guy explained his thoughts, leaving everyone to wonder just where Naruto learned to do that. Was it from the Kyuubi, the Jonins asked himself, but none of them sensed the demon chakra leaking. Looks like he got him now, said Uncle as he watched Lee get caught by Naruto. Do not discount my student yet. He has one more card to play, Guy said with pride. As he was proud of the both of them despite Naruto not being a student, Guy loved when people work hard to achieve what they wanted. Back in the arena, front Lotus! As Lee smacked Naruto into the ground, back first. Since he didn't want to kill his friend, he didn't went head first. Everyone expected Naruto to stay down after that, but they watched him got up. Sure enough, that really hurt, he said, that pain chuckled, as he pushed Chakra to his back. How are you able to stand after that, Lee asked in shock. Who the hell gets up after being slammed into the floor? From that velocity and speed, Lee was perfectly aware now that his own muscles were messed up, and if Naruto was still able to fight at the same level that he was fighting at, he would need to open more of the gates. You have your own dream, Lee, and I have mine, and if I ever want to reach it, I can't allow myself to be stopped by something like that. As Lee almost burst into tears at how similar they were. My regenerating healing factor also helped. Healing factor, several persons said. Naruto just turned around as people saw his back, as the cuts were healing rapidly. I probably waste more chakra and heal my back after that move he just did than the old man up there is capable of. But soon enough I'll be back to full health. As he gestured towards Sarutobi to explain which old man he was talking about, Lee knew that he couldn't waste time anymore. Gate of healing. Open! Oh shit, said Naruto, as Lee started to glow with the power that he was releasing. Gate of rest. Open! Uzumaki's secret art. Body of iron, said Naruto, as Naruto chakra hardened inside his body, as his body stretched to the limit, his muscles bulging to the limit. As Naruto knew that he couldn't really move in his state as his head changed from the bottom of his feet to keep him rooted in the ground. Gate of pain. Open! Gate of limit. Open! As Lee decided to go all out after hearing Naruto call that technique. As he burst forward, everyone watching in silence and shock. As Lee assaulted Naruto at speeds beyond most of them that were able to see, the Genins. As Naruto did not move though, he didn't even move an inch. Why isn't he moving, asked Sakura. He can't, said Hinata, as she was clutching Naruto's coat. What do you mean he can't, asked Kiba. He has condensed his chakra so much that he can't even move, but he's also acting like a shield, Neji said momentarily, forgotten his animosity towards his cousin. So he cannot retaliate or dodge, he's only indoors, Shino said quietly, reminding everyone that he's still there. He'd been so quiet that he almost forgot about him. Those two sure are troublesome, said Shikamaru. If he's using his chakra as a shield, then he will get out of this just fine, said Sakura. All Naruto had to do was hold on for a bit longer, as Kakashi explained that Lee moves are stringing his body. Don't be too sure about that, the 8 gates are nothing to scoff at. Take a close look at Naruto, said Kakashi, as they saw he had his teeth clenched and he was grunting when Lee was hitting him. Lee was moving faster than any of them could see as he was smashing his fists and feet in Naruto. As they all saw red run from Naruto's mouth, through his teeth and down his chin. As Lee collapsed on the ground, his body running out of steam. As he couldn't believe it, no matter what he did, the blonde wouldn't just go down. As Naruto released his technique as he collapsed down coughing up blood. As both of them looked like they were just about to die anytime now. But Naruto stood to his feet as he gave a grin. "Looks like I won, Lee." "It appears so," said Lee, as he wasn't really angry at anything. Both of them were pushed to their physical limit, and the fight was exhilarating. At the moment, Naruto's healing factor was working to get Naruto back, as he was using up his chakra like a black hole. He still had some chakra left in the tank, but Lee had nothing left, as the bruises over his body started to fade. But Naruto felt exhausted more than he had ever been before. "Winner, Uzumaki Naruto," Hayate said, as he saw Lee wasn't getting back up. While Naruto was only thinking about the headaches the council was going to go over, with all the abilities that Naruto's released in this fight, Naruto made his way back up to the podium. Guy had gone with Lee, who was taken away by the medics. "How are you feeling, Naruto?" Sakura asked him, worried. They might not be really close, but he was her teammate, and he set her straight about what a true kunoichi was, as Naruto looked towards her and decided it was a good time to continue to screw with her head. "Horny," he said, as he looked at Anko and Kurenai, as Anko grinned back as Kurenai blushed. "Idiot, don't go and announce something like that so proudly, and stop looking at Kurenai sense like that," Ino shouted. But this just drew more attention to Kurenai, making her blush even harder, as Asuma was looking a bit disgruntled, as he had developed a bit of an interest in the red high kunoichi. "What, you jealous?" As Ino started to splutter around. "Don't worry, Ino. It's not your fault that Anko and Kurenai are sexier than you. That is just the way the cookie crumbles. Thanks for taking such good care of my coat, Hinata. You're a real sweetie." As he took his coat from her. "Oh, no problem, big brother," she said. At the moment, standing away from everyone, Sasuke was furious. He couldn't have defeated Lee, and Naruto defeated him without even using his chakra chains to do it. He thought the Sharingan would finally let him catch up to his teammate, but it wasn't enough. Even empowered by the curse, Seal was defeated, and that was sealed away now. It seems that the gap between them was getting bigger. The following matches weren't as excited, so people wind down. As Sakura faced off against Ino, as Ino set a few traps and Sakura did what she could. Well, Sakura showed that she has developed, because she wasn't anywhere near Ino fighting style when in the academy, but at least she matched her. As Naruto was a bit pissed off by the move that Temari pulled, letting Tenten crash on her fan like that, causing her more pain after their match. The next match after that was Hinata as she faced off against Neji, but she had Naruto conversation in mind, as she even managed to get a few good hits on Neji, but he still defeated her, and she refused to go down until the very end. But she saw the smile in his face, as it was more to her than anything else, despite that she was in incredible pain, and she would have to spend some time in the hospital. Shikamaru was a bit put off, as he had to fight the girl, Kin, why? But he outsmarted her and knocked her out by letting her hit the wall. As Dosu defeated Choji. As they went to pick numbers, Naruto smiled when he got Neji, as he was going to beat the fate out of his head. Sasuke got Gaara. Kakashi knew that he would have to teach Sasuke the Chidori. If nothing else, he should allow Sasuke to survive that match. He wasn't sure if Sasuke could actually win, but survival was possible. Shikamaru sighed as he had to fight another woman. Shino, Conqueror, and Dosu didn't react at all, as Naruto was pleased to find out that they had a whole month until the finals. A whole month for him to learn a lot more. Naruto was sure that he could defeat Neji as he was right now, but he wanted to finish a particular technique so he can use it against Neji, something he's been working on. He was planning on asking Hinata to help him test it out, but this was just better. He would use it full force on Neji. Time skip. Jenny and Uzumaki, you are being called to this council because we wish to ask you some questions about the abilities you release. During the Chunin exam preliminaries, Elder Homura said, Sarutobi could only sigh, as he knew that the council would give him problems over Naruto in the preliminaries, and he was right. Had it been about anyone else, this council session would have happened, but because he was a Kyuubi Jinchuriki, they stuck their nose into everything. And Naruto's attitude had made him more paranoid, and they called a full council meeting just to question him. He could even fault Naruto for having no patience with them, considering the way they acted with him. The Elder Council, Danzo included, and the clan heads, all of them were there. Even the 3 civilian representatives had got themselves as well, saying that this involved them. The civilian representatives wasn't liked much by the clan heads, but the elders found them, well, acceptable sometimes. Counselor Arakiyama was the oldest out of the 3. He was in his late 50s, his black hair going down inside his face. He was always here in the background, but he always spoke up when he thought he could make something go the way he wanted to. Counselor Ishida was over a decade younger, brown hair, brown eyes. The kind of man that you'd overlook because he was so ordinary. But he was very manipulative, just like anyone else, and used his normal look like a tool because people wouldn't suspect him. Council Kimura was the youngest woman there. Yes, and she was the youngest on the Council of the Civilians. As she was in her early 30s, shiny black hair and green eyes, as she looked rather youthful. She was always a beautiful woman, and was not above using her looks to get what she wanted. The three of them knew that they needed to present a united front if they wanted to get anything in a shinobi village. So despite their lack of interest for each other, they did so. Yeah, what about them, Naruto said as he picked his ear, and flicking some earwax towards the civilians. They were quite annoyed by that, but they tried to keep a calm and pleasant air around themselves. You made use of a technique that you call the Uzumaki's secret art, and your self-healing ability that use your own chakra, and display aptitude to Fuinjutsu. We wish to know if you have anything else that you've kept hidden, Koharu stated. You want to know if I have any other abilities and if you're possibly a bloodline Naruto asked. Yes, Koharu said. Sure, I'll tell you everything, said Naruto. As Koharu, Homura, and the civilian countess smiled at how cooperative he was being. Naruto was confused. Yes, and the clan heads were surprised because this was out of character for what they heard from their children about Naruto behavior. Hayashi took a drink of water as he wondered what the Uzumaki was playing at. Oh, I'll tell you everything if you get naked. Down on your knees and kiss my ass, bitch, he said. He had been dying to tell that to someone who thought of himself way more important than they should be. And the look on her face, it just gave him so much pleasure. Koharu was beyond shocked. That was the most insulting thing anyone has ever thrown towards her. She had gotten used to the respect that her village elder status gave her, and she didn't know what to do right now. Hayashi spat out the water in shock, choked on the water that he accidentally inhaled as he couldn't believe it. As he looked rather undignified at the moment, Tatsumi didn't start a laugh. As far as she was concerned, this was the best council meeting ever. She saw the look on Hayashi's face as he was choked in the water, and the elders, even the Hokage, the Inoshikacho, were laughing, but they were barely restraining it as their shoulders were shaking. A Burmese Shiba was doing his best out of everyone, but his shoulders were shaking a bit. None of the clan heads were fond of the elders, as they had one point, trying to get all of the clan heads to reveal their secrets to the village, their clan techniques, saying that they would do good for the village. And they were also angry to be called in this meeting just because the elders wanted to interrogate the boy for having some secret techniques. As even Sir Toby chuckled a bit once he got over his shock, Naruto was fully within his rights as the head of the Uzumaki clan to refuse anything sent his way. But the way he did it was a bit much. If Naruto was any younger, he couldn't take ownership of the clan. Same for Sasuke, but Naruto had passed 16, and he was the only known Uzumaki alive, so he was clan head by default. Kakashi had informed him that Naruto learned about his heritage on his own years ago, but the way that Naruto kept it to himself and not saying anything about it, it made Sarutobi sad, as he wanted to be the one to tell Naruto about it so he could gain some relationship between the two. Instead, the blonde had figured it out on his own and probably resented him for keeping it away from him for so long. Danzo frowned as he was quite angry. If Sarutobi had given him the boy and made him train him, he wouldn't be so rebellious. As far as he was concerned, Naruto Uzumaki was property of the village and had no right to refuse them anything. After decades of not having a tail beast in their arsenal, they finally obtained one and then a third. Just let it run wild. How dare you talk to the council this way, you disrespectful brat? Who do you think you are? The civilian woman ranted as she lost her composure, ignoring the two warning looks from her partners, as she knew that she couldn't reveal anything about the Kyuubi demon or anything like that, which is why her predecessor had just suddenly vanished, the third law. All three of them had the axe to grind in Naruto as he lost family and business during the attack. Akiyama was the only one on the civilian council at that time, and he assisted both of them of gaining a part on it. All of them had worked to make his life miserable, and they tried to kill him many times when he was younger, but their attempts failed a lot of times. And now that he got older, they couldn't touch him. Well, I think I am Naruto Uzumaki, the head of the clan head, the son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, and those old fossils over there were trying to pry clan secrets out of me, Naruto said. Everyone in the room went quiet. He was so thrilled about releasing that information, but as long as the council did not know, they would keep on sticking their nose in his business. Hokage-sama, is that true? Ishida asked quickly, hoping that it wasn't true. Because out of everyone else who missed Minato, these three actually hate Minato because he wanted to shut down the civilian council while he was working. If it wasn't for his untimely death, there wouldn't be a civilian council. Yes, it's true. his heritage and his clan status was kept hidden for his safety. Sarutobi realized why Naruto released that information, even if he did not like it. He hoped that Naruto was stronger by the time it was revealed. At the very least, he was far from pushed over, and we would continue to grow stronger, especially now, since Jiraiya was here, and will take him as an apprentice very soon. Please forgive my outburst, Namikaze-sama, Kimura said, as she smiled, as she tried to play on his feelings, as she heard about the blonde's activities, as she could feel his tears from her two other counterparts, telling her to fix what she did by her recent outburst. Who the hell are you calling Namikaze? Naruto said. I was born at Uzumaki, and I'll stay at Uzumaki. Of course, Uzumaki-sama. Please accept my apology. If you try to blow me now, know that you know who my parents were. I'll make you choke on it, said Naruto. As Tatsumi started to laugh again, as Hayashi was frowning with displeasure at the circus that Uzumaki had turned the council into. The two elders were silent as Danzo was frowning again as the other clan heads were laughing. Danzo knew now that his status was revealed. He couldn't control Jinchuriki, but perhaps there was another way to control him. I suggest that we place Naruto Uzumaki under the clan Restoration Act, so he can start by the Uzumaki clan in Konoha. What the hell is the clan Restoration Act, Naruto asked, as he never heard of it. It's an old law that was passed by the second, basically. Konoha would construct a compound for you, and you will have the opportunity to marry several women to repopulate the Uzumaki clan as soon as possible, said Sarutobi, as he wasn't fond of the idea, especially since he thought that Danzo might arrange for the women so he can have some control over Naruto. If push comes to shove, he will make sure that Danzo has no say with the woman that Naruto get involved with. Yeah, that's not gonna happen, said Naruto. As the last male member of a powerful clan, you cannot refuse, said Danzo. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, bandages, said Naruto. But even if I pretend to hear about what you say or cannot refuse, none of the women would be getting pregnant. What do you mean? No, she asked, curiously. I place a seal on my nuts that render me sterile until I remove it. It will only deactivate if I pulse my chakra in a specific pattern. And also, it acts as a powerful explosive if my nuts is separated from me, he said. Wait, are you telling me that you place a high explosive seal on your testicle in case anyone cut them off? Inoichi asked. Yeah, said Naruto. Inoichi was certain that he never wanted to go into the mind of Naruto Uzumaki, and it wasn't because of the Kyuubi. He looked sane and spoke like a sane man, but he was not altogether sane. Inoichi could only call him alternatively sane. As Danzo scowled, as he placed that on himself to make any movement to place him under the CRE not possible. Now, if you're done wasting my time, Rick says he got to his feet. Got better things to do. Hokage-sama has not dismissed you, Jenny, Koharu said, putting venom in the way she said his rank. She was still pissed about what he said earlier. He rolls over for everyone else, including you. So I don't see why he won't do the same for me. Naruto says he pushed the door open. If he was Hokage, he would have those old bats executed. Koharu and Homura seemed like they wanted to drag him back themselves, but they knew they couldn't. They would call the envoy, but Sarutobi spoke. Let him go. We're finished here anyway. As he wondered if Naruto had no respect for him, because he was so lenient with the council. It was likely too late for him to build any bridges with Naruto, but at least he could help him as much as he can. He will inform Kakashi to send Naruto over to Hot Spring, where he knows Jiraiya will be peeping tomorrow. Time skip. Jiraiya was doing one of his favorite things in the world, research. Well, the reason why he was here was because Naruto became genuine. It took a bit longer than he expected, but the brat finally made it. As it didn't matter, after all, Minato was the same when he was younger. Despite everyone saying he was a genius, he was actually dumb as a post. He just worked so damn hard that he was just so remarkable in everything that he did. But he took that from his mind as he was currently watching the four women in the hot spring. As they were chatting in there, as he wrote down his notes, their conversation turned to something as he heard what they said. It's been so long since he visited. A woman that looked to be in her late 20s said a cute pout, as she was a work of art to Jiraiya's eyes, with her brown, beautiful hair and her figure. God. Then again, every pretty woman is a work of art in his opinion. You have no right to complain, it's been even longer since he come to visit me, a black-haired one said. As Jiraiya wondered who was this lucky bastard. Clearly, these four were good friends. Judging by the conversation, maybe you scared him off with your perverting antics, Keiko. I want a few years younger tease, short black hair and blue eyes. Not as curvaceous but still very beautiful. Naruto-sama is the one to be frightened off by anything, you know that, Aiko. Especially by my perfect antics. You should know that. Keiko said that chuckle. Didn't he ask you not to call Naruto-sama? The last one said with brown hair and amber eyes. Wait, Naruto-sama? They can't possibly be talking about my godson, can they? I know that he's 17 by now and women had become interested in him, but it can't be him. I never quite imagined if Keiko called him that out of true respect, or whether she just know he doesn't like it and like to mess with him. Suki, Kazumi, you wound me with your words. Naruto-sama knows that. I cannot address him in any way other than respectfully, after the way he handled me. Keiko said the pervert with a chuckle. So, what would the pervert be doing in this face, pressed against a wall by a female hot springs the voice? Jiraiya was so caught up in eavesdropping, he never noticed anything. As Jiraiya heard the ladies, as he knew that it had been fail attempt to run away from ladies that were pissed at him. They always catch him and beat him. As the foreman was upon him, as they started to beat the living crap out of him, as he saw the face of the blonde boy, who was just smirking, wearing a black cloak with nothing underneath. When the beating was over, they turned towards the other man, ready to beat the hell out of him as well, but they smiled when they noticed who it was. Naruto-sama, it was you who saved from this old pervert. You must allow me to repay the service. Keiko said. Perhaps you would like to join us in the female side of the hot spring, once we dispose of this old man, Kazumi said. As much as it pained me to refuse. You love ladies, I actually have business with this pervert, said Naruto. As Naruto saw his appearance, he knew that this man was Jiraiya, the Toad Sannin. But it's been so long since you visited, said Aiko. All four of them by now were pressing up themselves against him. As Jiraiya was shocked to realize this was his godson. I've been very busy lately, but I'll make some time for you girls. As all four of them got excited. Now remember, I can't really make any promises, but I'll try. But I also told you guys to find some suitable relationships to suit you, he said. Alas, Naruto, I'm afraid that we can't. You ruined us, our other man. Suki said as she pretended to fall, as she fell right into his arms, as she kissed him. As Kazumi pushed her away and kissed Naruto, and then Aiko came and kissed him as well. As he turned towards Keiko, as she looked at him back in her eyes. He sighed, he stepped forward as he held her hands behind her, as he held in a way to make her wince a bit, but she smiled, as he then pulled her in and kissed her. Naruto-sama, pleasure as always, said Keiko. Well girls, you should probably head home now, or else this old creep will try to peep on you again, said Naruto, as he slapped them across the butt. Remember to try and make some time for us, okay? We miss you, Kazumi said. Jiraiya couldn't believe this was happening, as his godson was just invited by the girls, the four of them, to be joined in their bathing. This made no sense to him. How could he, the legendary Toad Sage, never got invited for that? But his godson, why did he get the living daylights beat out of him? But his godson got all the praise. In that moment he realized that Naruto surpassed him in everything, leaving him only one truly thing to do. I submit myself to your teachings, O great master. As Naruto looked at Jiraiya, this idiot taught my father, he wondered. But guys, be any subscribe right here. If it wasn't exploring this to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on bell notifications to be posted. But I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace.